Hello you dirty dogs and welcome back to One on One, the most in-depth football show on YouTube. On today's episode, we'll be ranking the summer transfer business conducted by Celtic and Rangers. Given they play each other for the first time this season, this weekend, I thought now would be the perfect opportunity. Steven Gerrard's men started the season as favourites, but are things still that cut and dry heading into the first Old Firm? Yes, I'm still going to call it the Old Firm, refuse to call it Glasgow Derby. Hit me up with your score predictions in the comments below, and if you guess the correct scoreline and the first goal scorer, I will pin your comment to Football Daily's Instagram stories. Now, for the sake of balance, I'll be reviewing the three most expensive acquisitions by each club, dictated by either transfer fee or the wages that they're paying them. Let's go. As Rangers are the current champions, I thought it was only right that we started with them. Gerrard began his recruitment drive way back in May, signing Zambian striker Fashion Sakala on a pre-contract agreement from Belgian side Oostende. One of the most satisfying club names to say in football. Oostende. Sakala was really impressive in the 2021 Jupiler Pro League, contributing to 15 goals in 26 starts as the Custer Boys finished 4th in the regular league season. So what does he bring to the side? What's clear from his top line numbers is that Sakala does his best work inside the box, with an impressive 2.3 out of his 3.3 shots per 90 coming from inside the penalty area. Only 3 players were more active inside the penalty area across the league for this metric. However, the 24-year-old does need to work on his composure, with a shot accuracy last term of 36.8%, giving him the 13th best conversion rate of the league's 15 leading marksmen. Rangers striker Kemar Roof, by comparison, hit the target 46% of the time in the SPFL last season. With over 1 key pass per 90, Sakala is also a capable, if unspectacular, creator, clocking 5 assists over his last 2 league campaigns, which is the same as Alfredo Morelos. Although with just 17 passes completed per 90 last term, he'll have to brush up his link-up play in a possession-heavy side like Rangers, where he'll likely be expected to drop deep or to drag his opponent out wide if the opposition are packing their own box. Overall, in the past 3 seasons, Sakala's numbers have trended up, and if he makes steady progress this season, he might prove a worthwhile replacement for Alfredo Morelos, who looks likely to move on in the next 6 to 12 months, especially given as his contract expires in 2023. Sporting director Ross Wilson has done really well here to fend off interest from other parties. I'm going to give this transfer a solid 3.5 out of 5. At the time of writing, Celtic's most expensive summer recruit this season is none other than Kyogo Furuhashi, who joined from Japanese side Vissel Kobe for 4.86 million. Prior to his transfer to the green and white, the 26-year-old was flying in the J1 league, putting up 17 goal involvements in his first 20 league starts. And this form has continued on Scottish shores, with the Japanese forward bagging 3 goals in his first 2 league starts. Celtic's forward line has chopped and changed at the start of this season to great effect, with the Hoops putting up an astonishing 29 shots per 90 in their first 3 league games. Kyogo has arguably been the most important component to this attacking fluidity, with his movement inside the box proving decisive on more than one occasion. The fact he's currently averaging an astonishing 3.1 shots per 90 inside the 6-yard box alone illustrates this point perfectly. Now, that's obviously a small sample size and it's likely to come down in the coming weeks, but just to really hammer home how impressive this is, Odsonne Edouard is only having 0.5 shots per 90 in that same space. When Liel Abada, David Turnbull and Ryan Christie get into those wide positions, they can rely on the Japanese forward to make a darting run to either the front or back post, a winger's dream. Promisingly, this level of performance has extended to European qualifiers too. Dutch papers recently singled him out as the man who outwitted AZ Alkmaar in the boys' 2-0 triumph over their Eredivisie counterparts in the Europa League qualifiers. Although on the flip side, he's already had to endure racist abuse at the hands of opposition fans. Those in question have since been banned from attending matches, as has the supporters group that they represented. I suspect Kyogo will have the last laugh, and I'm going to give this transfer a 4.5 out of 5. Next up for Rangers is John Lundstrum, who, like Fashion Sakala, arrived at Ibrox on a free transfer. Having spent more than €34 million since Gerrard arrived at the club, while only generating €5 million in sales in return, it's unlikely that Rangers is austere approach is going to change as the summer transfer window winds down in the coming week. However, 27-year-old Lundstrum arrives with a solid pedigree, having featured in 62 of Sheffield United's 76 Premier League games before they were eventually demoted. His first season in the top flight saw a credible return of 8 goals and assists in 26 starts from the centre of midfield, with XG actually suggesting he should have had closer to 10. This would have tied him in first place with Lys Mousset in terms of goal contributions. So you may be unsurprised to learn that he actually averaged the third most shots at the Blades on a per game basis in the 2019-20 season. However, nothing else about his game really popped, and his underlying numbers dropped off drastically in the 2021 campaign. For example, his shots dropped from the aforementioned 1.3 to 0.7, and his tackles and interceptions went from 2.4 to 1.4. Even in that productive 2019-20 season, if you do a little bit more digging, most of his underlying numbers lag behind that of his midfield counterparts. For example, despite being handed a more box-to-box role, he actually generated fewer shot-creating actions than the likes of Norwood, Fleck, and even squad players like Ben Osborne. Although to his credit, he was one of the team's more active pressers, completing 603 across the course of the season. Without trying to sound too damning, if he wasn't harrying opponents or getting a shot off at goal, he was entirely replaceable. And in the case of Rangers 4-3-3, I can actually see this being the case once more. A solid squad player, but if he forces his way into that midfield of Aribo, Davies and Glenn Kamara, I'll be really surprised. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Centre-back Car Starfelt arrived at Celtic in a £4.5 million deal from Russian outfit Rubin Kazan. The 26-year-old had a really impressive 2021 for the Voltane, turning out in all but one game as his side finished 4th in the league. Startlingly, the Swede was only dribbled past once every 10 games, while completing an astonishing 91% of the tackles that he contested, a far superior rate to Christopher Ayer's 71%. He also had an impressive pass accuracy on 92%, which was actually the best in the squad, while completing a squad-high amount of passes on a per-game basis. In the air, not quite as imposing, winning just 59% of his headers, which is not great, I suppose, given Celtic's awful record from set pieces last season. Still, a fairly impressive array of underlying numbers. Since arriving at Celtic though, Starfelt has found life a little more challenging. Despite leading the side for clearances and passes per game in the opening exchanges of the season, he sometimes failed to pass the eye test, hesitating on the ball and making rash decisions, illustrated pretty well by the penalty he conceded in the recent 3-2 victory over Hearts. No doubt Celtic fans will be hoping these are just teething issues that resolve themselves the more he becomes accustomed to Ange ball. I anticipate plenty of improvement, but for now, this transfer gets a 2.5 out of 5. Our final breakdown for the Gers involves former Huddersfield playmaker Juninho Bacuna. The 24-year-old learned his trade at Dutch side Groningen, making 58 league starts before the age of 20. He then transferred to Huddersfield, who were at the time a Premier League side, before going on to cement himself as a first-team regular in the subsequent 2 English Championship campaigns. In his 2 seasons in England's second tier, Bacuna has contributed to 19 goals in 62 starts from an advanced midfield position. I suppose if anything happens with Yanis Hadji, then at least he is an able body ready to step into the fray, especially having averaged over 1 key pass per 90 in his last 4 seasons. I'm going to give this transfer a 2 out of 5. Now, Liel Abada has been a superb acquisition since arriving for £3.6 million from Maccabi Petah Tikva. In league play, he's contributed to 3 goals in 3 games, laying on a team-high 4.3 key passes in the process. He's also matching this impressive creative output with a healthy 4 shots per game, 3 of which have arrived inside the box, a return only bettered by Odsonne Edouard. This contrasts starkly to Ryan Christie's numbers when he was deployed on the right-hand side under Neil Lennon. In the 2021 season, the Scotsman only managed 1.3 shots from inside the penalty area, taking the majority of his shots from distance. Abada's presence on that right-hand side, hogging that touchline, has also meant that manager Ange Postecoglou has been able to deploy Ryan Christie in a more traditional midfield position in that 4-3-3, where he's been able to help Callum McGregor with the defensive load. In fact, Christie is currently second in the squad for tackles per 90. So what I'm trying to say is Abada's transfer also getting the best out of Christie. At just 19-2, Abada looks like an absolute gem of a find. Gonna give this transfer a 4 out of 5. So team, in summary, we're giving Rangers 8 out of 15 for their top 3 summer transfers, while we're giving Celtic 11 out of 15. Scottish football fans, do you agree? Let me know in the comments below, and like I said, hit me up with your score predictions for this Sunday's Old Firm fixture. And if you enjoyed this video, click on screen now for 4 Scottish wonder kids that your club should sign. Not a single Old Firm player in sight. Like this video as it really helps out with the algorithm. Subscribe to Euro Football Daily with notifications on to never miss another episode of One on One. And until then, thanks for watching and I'll catch you next time.